All right, we are live. I'm just gonna share this with my Discord server, this live stream. I'm watching The Art of Vlogging. The Art of Vlogging is this extra bonus content for the Part-Time YouTuber Academy, which is a course that I bought. Everyone going live. Again, watching The Art of Vlogging. Okay, let me get over here. We'll do stream stream web browse. And then I'll start just a bit here. Okay, I have to put in my headphones because otherwise there's going to be an echo for you guys. So I was watching this by myself and I realized, well, maybe someone can benefit from watching this with me. So let's see. I'm going to skip around a bit because I already went about almost halfway through. So let's add this. OPM is going to be very happy. Hey Devin. Okay, let me just change it to speakers will be headphones.
How to actually think about the artistic elements of vlogging and how it is that we can make it our own and put our creative spin on it, but also how it is that you can embed it into your strategy for monetization, for growth, and all of those things. So we're going to get into it. And in this particular format, we have just a little introduction. I'll introduce myself as well as the kind of general concepts. We'll talk about the principles of vlogging, including different types of angles and things that we want to think about with B-roll. The act of documenting, so the importance of documenting, not, like I said, not only as a strategy or as something that we're using in our creator toolkit, but also thinking about it as something that is a reflective and a kind of introspective act. That is something that is deeply personal and also allows you to build a bit of a portfolio of memories. I think of vlogging as a personal visual diary, and so thinking a little bit about how it is that we go about that process. We're also going to go over the actual strategies of a vlogger. So what it is that I do as a vlogger to create monetization opportunities, to drive traffic over to my business. So for those of you that have always thought educational content is the only way to monetization, I want to kind of dispel that belief and try to create opportunities for you to connect with your audience, to create community, as well as to hopefully monetize that content as well. And we'll end off with a little bit of a Q&A. And thank you all so much for your comments. I see them and I really appreciate it. Okay, so first and foremost, let's do a little bit of an introduction. My name is Kaylin. I am a fifth-year PhD candidate in History of African American Studies at Yale University. I've been creating content online for a little over 5 years now, and in the process of creating my YouTube channel, Instagram, and short-form video content, I have also founded Accepted Society, which is an online community for academics. We have over 480 members globally that are active every single day. The pacing, all of those things are a direct reflection of organic. And that establishes, if that doesn't convert to watch, that do like homebody vlogs, boring, I don't have anything fun to show anybody. Okay, to engage with one's own emotions. The way that I edit a vlog, the music that I pick, the transitions, the pacing, all of those things are a direct reflection of how I'm personally feeling at that moment in time. And being able to look back on those and see the evolution of how I was feeling or what I was processing is also something really special. But in addition to that, it also allows you to connect with people on a very human level. Being able to share something that you're experiencing and that you were challenged by or that you're excited about, and being able to connect that to the experiences that others might have, to get a comment where somebody says, I relate to this so much, or I wish that somebody had told me this 3 months ago when I was going through X thing. It can be helpful for other people and is a way for you to connect with your community on a more intimate level. So these are some of the questions that often come up when I do talk about vlogging. Oftentimes people think, my life is too boring, I don't have anything fun to show anybody. But the argument that I make is that simply by the act of you taking the video of something, you are aestheticizing it. So, if you think about a vlog, if you think about some of your favorite creators and the things that they're actually filming, in reality, on the surface are quite boring. Like getting out of bed, making a cup of coffee, writing in their notebook and, doing work at their computer. That to you, if you were the one performing those acts, it wouldn't seem that exciting. But to a camera and to an audience and with music, it becomes exciting. It becomes visually entertaining. And so there are so many people that I watch that do like homebody vlogs that they don't leave, the square corners of an office. But the very act of reflecting in real time and sharing B-roll is a way of creating that visual appeal. The other question is often, what if my audience doesn't watch? And we're going to talk a little bit more about strategy in a minute. But one thing about vlogging is that it's not necessarily about the number of views. It's about the quality of the video. Being able to really connect with your audience and really be able to share something with them and for them to feel that comfort that they can go into the comment section and connect and share that with you as well. That's what we're aiming for. Because at the end of the day, big subscriber counts, lots of views, they're great. But if that doesn't convert to connection, if that doesn't convert to engagement, if that doesn't convert to retention, then we just have a big number on a screen.
Yeah.
And what we really want is that sense of connection. We want to feel like our audience is there with us, that we are there with them, that we are offering them something, and that they are learning something in return. And one of the other questions is, how can I even monetize a vlog? Now, like I said in the previous slide, vlogging also gives you an opportunity to build credibility. You are sharing while you are doing the thing. And so therefore, you're actually creating that sense of reliability and trust with your audience. And the general rule with marketing is if somebody needs to see something 10 times before they're willing to buy it, if you are vlogging, if you are sharing the process slowly with your audience, that is developing that trust with the brand. And if you have something to sell, such as a service or a product, you are putting it in front of them in a way that feels organic. And that establishes that relationship with the brand that they might want to engage with further. Now let's talk a little bit about the spectrum of content and strategy. So first and foremost, we have what I call growth content. And then on the other side of the spectrum, we have nurture content. They have very different goals. So let's first start with growth content. This is high value, highly educational content where somebody leaves having learned something. Now, what we want from this specific experience is that somebody learns something that you have to offer, a perspective, some kind of tool that you're using to learn, some kind of tool that you're teaching them how to learn. And what we want out of that experience is that they learn that particular skill and walk away attributing their ability to do that thing with your video. This is all about bringing in new people, and it also how-to content, educational content, content that actually provides the user with something tangible that they're walking away with is high growth content. That's the stuff that brings in new people. Nurture content, on the other hand, is stuff that is relating to building the brand. This is like, these are the vlogs, these are the in real time recollections of what it is that you're working on and building. And they also include recurring themes or characters. And so what I mean by recurring themes or characters are, for example, there are things about your brand that people are gonna cling on to over time and that they're gonna learn about you. So for example, I have a little dog, her name is Boo, and she is in every vlog. And people will comment on the shots that I get of her in a vlog. Now, is showing her highly educational or valuable to anybody? Not necessarily, but they love the fact that she's in it and she is a recurring character. Another recurring theme, for example, is the work that I'm doing on my dissertation and showing how it is I'm learning in the process and how it is I'm developing that research in real time. This is made for your returning audience. Vlogs are not for new people. Vlogs are made to nurture your current audience, to allow them to get a little bit closer to you as a creator. It's letting them a little bit into your inner world. Now, that's not saying that you're opening the floodgates and sharing everything about your life with them. There are certainly things that I keep private, but it's sharing the things that you feel comfortable with and allowing them a little bit more insight. And the other thing is that nurture content vlogs are not necessarily going to be for everyone, but it does offer you the opportunity to learn in real time yourself, but also to teach in real time, to do it slowly. As if you aren't necessarily fully prepared to teach a new subject, you can use the vlog to begin speaking on a subset of that subject. So for example, if I wanted to do a video tutorial on how to use Notion, I might show in a vlog how I'm using Notion to habit track. Now, I wouldn't do that as a whole video as an educational piece, but I could talk about that in a vlog and provide a little bit of value. Now let's talk a little bit about monetization. So first and foremost, one way that I've gone about this is actually building a business off the back of the channel. So giving my audience what it is they were asking for. A lot of my audience are academics, and a lot of them are distanced from their program. And giving them a space where they can connect and have community and have connection to me is another way to to monetize and build a business out of community. But I've also done it with other forms of services. You can also collaborate with brands who are seeking to show their product in front of a highly engaged audience. So for example, me sharing a tool that might be used by a student, like an application for how to review an essay. Then that's one way that you can collaborate with brands. You can also do things like generating affiliate links and creating tools and products based on what your audience is stating that they might appreciate. So here's a little bit of my strategy and recommendations for when you're starting with vlogging and you're trying to think about how it is to actually monetize that. So first and foremost, we have that spectrum that I was talking about earlier, where it's between growth content and nurture content. And depending on what kind of stage you are with your channel, you can decide where you're gonna sit on that spectrum. Personally, I typically lean more towards 75% nurture content, 25% growth. But if you were in a high growth stage with your channel and you're really trying to generate those leads and those eyes on your new channel, then I would recommend going in the other direction of maybe 75% educational content, 25% nurture. But that's kind of depending on what your strategy is at that given time. And the second thing is actually generating an email list or a way to test your ability to generate leads from the very beginning. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you immediately have a product to sell, but it can be an email list, anything that allows you to begin seeing how engaged your audience is and willing to move onto a link and being able to subscribe to something, being able to see how much interest there is in that. Third is creating direct opportunities to connect with you. So this can be things like free events that you might host. So that's like doing a free workshop. You might also, do a community call or something along those lines. Another way for people to get in touch with you and have that form of connection. And then building your strategy based on your engagement stats. Now, what are engagement stats? Engagement stats aren't just the vanity metrics of subscribers and views and likes and all of that. It's also about actually thinking about the quality of the comments. So, are you getting returning users? Are you seeing recurring usernames in your comments? Are you also getting outreach? So are they emailing you, asking for advice or asking for support based on the content that you're producing? So when I started my YouTube channel, I started getting a lot of emails from people asking how to go from community college to transferring to a university or how to apply to Oxford or Cambridge, because that's what I had done. And that's another way of kind of seeing that there is high engagement in your community. There's also, like I said, actually tracking traffic through UTM links or sign up to a newsletter, and then furthermore, attendance to free events such as a community call and things like that. All right, so that is the end of my presentation. I have more information on my own small community for vloggers specifically, called The Art of Vlogging. It's on my website, but I'll go ahead and open it up to Q&A. I see that there's been a lot of comments and a lot of questions in the chat, so I want to make sure that there's plenty of time to go through them. So I'm going to go ahead and close out my screen, and we'll start answering some questions.
Perfect. Thank you, Jen. That was great. Yeah, I guess the first one that I actually wanted to touch upon was, you mentioned like blogging as an act of self-discovery. Do you think everyone can benefit from blogging if they don't actually publish the video?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I often tell people, especially if you're going through a transition period, I think at the end of the day, it depends on what kind of format you yourself would benefit from. I personally really like the format of sitting in front of a camera and vlogging. If writing is more your style, then I would say personal writing, having a journal, things like that. But if you're going through a transition period, just record your thoughts every day. Whether that's in a journal, in front of the camera, in a voice note, whatever it may be, the act of actually just kind of documenting the process over time, I just find it so useful. And I have like the documented experience of all these major life transitions that I personally had, and I'm so glad that I did, because you learn things in real time about yourself by doing that. And also, it's really helpful to look back on because, for example, I'll have times when I'm going through a big major life change and it just feels really scary and it feels really big. But then because I have these previous experiences to look back on, I can say, well, you went through a really challenging time like this before. You got through it. And so I think it's beneficial to anybody to have that form of outward reflection.
And how do you, questions came actually that I was going to ask as well, how do you deal with filming in public versus home? Like how have you managed that? Because for me, filming outside, I get really uncomfortable.
Yeah,
like,
so I also have a comment about like stalking and like making sure that certain things are private. So I would say one thing that I do, especially when filming in public, is I try to make sure that I never show that there's a recurring like routine where people can track like what buildings I tend to pass at certain times and that kind of thing. I always get worried with lifestyle creators if they keep the same routine every single day, that it's quite easy to find where they live and where they work out and stuff like that. So I think changing up visually your routine. The other thing about filming in public is I will go to a place like a street where there's nobody around. And then that's when I'll film. But I will, and then the other piece of advice that I have about filming in public is don't make eye contact with anybody. Like just keep staring at the camera. Because the second you make eye contact with somebody, that's when you start to feel embarrassed. So my recommendation is just like keep staring at the camera. My other recommendation is if you don't feel comfortable like walking and talking to your camera, that's fine. It's a bit of a weird act in general. You can always just like sit down on a bench and like have a chat with your camera. The only thing is that if people are walking by, they are going to stare, but just don't look at them.
And how, in terms of the actual videos themselves, how do you think about if you give it a sort of script beforehand or even a title thumbnail hook beforehand? Both of those things that come up in the chat.
So I don't have a script. Sometimes if there's a vlog with a specific theme, then I will just make sure that I'm like aware that theme is like in mind. But most of my vlogs are pretty freeform, and I let the storytelling happen in post-production. Because every time I sit down and say, oh, today, this week, we're gonna be doing this in the vlog, it always derails, and I can't seem to keep it on track. So for me, it just helps if I can just document the process, and then I kind of figure out what that video is about as I'm editing. So that's personally what I do for vlogs. I have a bit more of a process for the sit-down educational videos, but when it comes to vlogging, other than just like giving myself a reminder to look at the camera and like say something every once in a while, I don't have much structure to it. My other quick like tip, when you're starting vlogging and you're still like in the process of learning and getting comfortable with it, having a like little tone on like a reminder on your phone where it says like, I don't know, every 3 hours you just get a notification that's like, hey, remember to check in with the video. Because sometimes I'll just forget. Like I've been doing this for years. I've been doing it for 5 years, and I still will go an entire day and realize that I haven't talked to the camera since 8 a.m. So just have a little reminder on your phone to say like, hey, check in. Would recommend.
And in terms of people starting vlogging on an already existing channel, Johnny asked in the chat, is a model growing channel. If I were to integrate vlogging format, would it be wise to include it in the same channel, like education-based channel, or open a separate channel?
I mean, I think there's value in doing it on the channel. The only thing that I would say is making, as you're transitioning, like if I were to give you a specific strategy, I would say have it be an educational video, so have it have a specific thing that you're trying to teach somebody, but show them the process. So rather than just like sitting down in front of the camera and immediately jumping into it, what I do is like make a cup of coffee, sit down in front of the camera and say, okay, so today we're gonna organize this, or we're gonna set up this thing, and then just share the process, and then every bit through the steps, sit down in front of the camera, chat a little bit about what you've done, challenges that they might face, challenges that you face while doing that, and that's another way to kind of slowly transition the vlogging content into your educational content, because it's a bit of a stark difference from going from sit down video educational to full out lifestyle vlog. I would say what I would do at the very beginning is create something that's a bit more about showing the process, and then start to include more of those B-roll elements, those reflective elements, as your audience gets more comfortable with that format.
Nice. And in terms of gear, what does your setup look like?
Okay, so this is a question I get a lot, and with vlogging, I have so many cameras. Okay. Most of my vlogs are shot on my phone. So, I have a 100,000 subscriber channel. I make vlogs every single week. Most of it's shot on my phone. Like, no fancy mic, no nothing. Like, I was starting to try to vlog on this little, like, Osmo Pocket this week. And I was like, I just can't be asked. Because, like, I'll forget it. It's, I have to, like, actually think about pulling it out. I have my phone with me all the time. And I just use a selfie view. Like, that's not recommended by, the strategists online, but you come to realize that people don't actually care that much about the overall quality of the vlog, so long as, like, the personality and, some little B-roll elements are good. When I want really cinematic B-roll footage, when I'm at home, I'll use this. But most of the time, it's just my phone.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. Lenses are incredibly good these days, and yeah, even if you have an Osmo, it's useful. It is probably a very good first beginner camera if you do want to branch away from the phone. The Osmo is very, very good, but yeah, the phones are amazing. Mistakes that beginners make. What are the kind of top 3 to 5 mistakes that you see people make when they try to start vlogging?
Talking and only talking. And the thing is, at the very beginning when you learn to vlog, I think it's okay that you're like the vlog itself is going to lean more talking. But I would say if you can get on balance that the video is kind of 50-50 between talking and B-roll, that's the sweet spot. Ideally, you want to move away from just talking. Because the rule that I follow, and this is a recommendation that I give anybody that is vlogging, and I have a lot of clients I've worked with that are vloggers who, the channel gets stagnant, and I say, well, the problem is that it's not telling a visual story. You want it to tell a visual story in addition to actually, speaking to the camera and telling them what's happening, because people want to show, not just tell. And you can do B-roll with just music. Sometimes I'll do like a little like text just to say what's going on. Sometimes I'll do a voiceover if I'm feeling it. It depends on the vlog. Like I was editing a vlog yesterday where I thought I was going to do voiceover over all the B-roll, but actually there were elements to it where I kind of just wanted B-roll to speak for itself. And I think the video is better for it, personally. And I do all of my own B-roll shooting. Yeah. And then I guess the other mistake that I see is that people are really uncomfortable showing an establishing shot in B-roll. I see a lot of vloggers like comfortable with the close-ups, but they aren't comfortable with the full body shot. I think that comes with getting a bit more comfortable, but those establishing shots are really important because what you're wanting your viewer to feel like is that they're with you. Like I would say, just having somebody like you want to feel like they're right next to you as they're watching. And yeah, those are the 2 mistakes that I see the most. I'd say like talking too much, not getting enough B-roll, and not getting establishing shots.
Nice. And in terms of editing, you still do that all yourself. Have you thought about outsourcing that, or do you think with vlogging, because of the nature of it, is a very personal thing that requires your input?
So there was a time while I was working for Ali that I would have an editor do just the initial A cut. So what that means is that I would have my editor put it on a timeline and basically just like edit chronologically and just take out like the pauses and the repetition of when I'm talking. But I would have him send it to me to do the transitions, the music, the title cards, the voiceover, all of that. To me, the vlogs are very personal, are just very personal. There are absolutely ways to have editors edit for you, but I think that takes away from the experience and the kind of like therapeutic aspect of vlogging that I personally get a lot out of. So I outsource editing my sit-down videos, but now that I have a little bit more time and I work for myself, I edit everything.
And how do you think about like, the number of vlogs in a given week? Is it just
So-
a case of go on, sorry.
I do like about 50-50. So I tend to do one vlog per week and then one video that's like a little bit more sit-down style. It doesn't necessarily need to be an education-focused video, but I will try to do one that's a little bit different. Yeah, so I try to do on balance like one and one every week because I post twice a week. I post on Wednesday and Sunday. But it also depends. Like right now I'm in a growth stage. Like I'm trying to grow the channel. I'm trying to grow my online community. I'm trying to increase monetization opportunities, and that means that I lean more towards the educational content. But for example, when I was working full time and doing the PhD, it was mostly vlogs. It was like once a week, just do the vlog. Because at the time I was just like, well, at this moment I'm not in a growth stage. It's really about nurturing my community.
And how do you balance that on that point? The need to grow, but also the fact that your sales are potentially more likely to come from the nurtured content because of those people having a better relationship and trust with you. How do you think about that?
So instead of growth content in the way that I'm thinking about bringing in new people and speaking only to new people, my growth content is actually more so based on the things that I think my audience is going to benefit from, my current audience. And if it brings in more people, great. But I really focus on speaking to my people, and I just kind of, based on my experience, when I create content for the people in my community, it starts to attract more people into it. So for example, if I made a vlog, or like I made a vlog a week or so ago where I moved all of my dissertation notes into an application called Scrivener. It's usually used by fiction writers. And I was sharing that I was doing this, and people were like, we want a how-to video. So I would make a video on how to use Scrivener as a PhD student, and that would be really beneficial to my community, but that's also going to be really attractive to new viewers. So I really think about, like, growth content can be a variety of things. It can be high value for your people, for your audience that you know really well, or it can be high growth content for new audiences, or it can be, both. But I really focus on how can I make content that is really helpful to the people I'm wanting to attract and wanting to keep.
Nice. Cool. Broad question in relation to just the YouTube channel and things in general. I mentioned at the start you do a lot of stuff. So there's a question here about sort of how many hours a week, but how do you, on a broad level of like as a content creator, balance YouTube content creation, because everyone here is a content creator, with life, which for you is PhD, running a community, and all the other things you do?
So the one thing is, like, I do a lot of things, but I feel like they're all really interconnected. So I'll try to explain this as simply as I can. So my business is it's a community for academics, and we run these like community-led study sessions every day. So while I'm vlogging a week in my life and working on my dissertation, I will attend a study session. So I'm like nurturing the people in my community, filming a vlog, and working on my PhD at the same time. So like they all feel like they're very naturally interconnected. In terms of like hours and things like that, it varies. I would say at the moment it takes me about probably 3 hours to edit about a 40-minute to an hour-long vlog, and that's what I tend to film and edit the most. In terms of the sit-down videos at the moment, because they're more intricate, take me a little bit longer. But
Let's hear that again.
so,
3
They all
hours?
feel like they're very naturally interconnected. In terms of like hours and things like that, it varies. I would say at the moment it takes me about probably 3 hours to edit about a 40-minute to an hour-long vlog, and that's what I tend to film and edit the most. In terms of the sit-down videos at the moment, because they're more intricate, take me a little bit longer. But I feel like I've got a system. I've been doing it for a long time now, and yeah, I just feel like they're quite interconnected. Now, I will say that I have a business that is really, really well sustained. Like I and my business partner put no more than 10 hours a week into the business. That is not the case when I started the business. It was 40, 50-hour weeks on the business to to nurture my clients and all that. But now we've got it in such a way that the community is really self-sustaining. So it's a complicated answer. I don't have like a specific formula, and this is what people ask me all the time. Like, oh, how do you do all these things? I'm like, well, when I sit down, I film my short form video content the day before. I sit down while I'm having my morning coffee. I edit the short form videos for the day. Those go up, and then I work on my dissertation, attend a study session while filming a vlog, and then twice a week I sit down to edit.
Did that all happen quite organically, or was that unintentional?
Okay, so I guess like the challenge that I have with time management questions is that because I really like all the things that I'm doing, it doesn't feel great. Like I don't have to like specifically say like, hey, you need to sit down and do this thing. Except for when I have to edit a sit down video. When I have to edit a sit down video, I have to entice myself with a sweet treat. But most of the things I'm just like, oh, it'd be fun to like just get this thing edited. So I'll sit there on my phone and I'll edit a quick thing for short form video content. And I have a rule that when I have a video going up, it has to be edited. I start editing it 2 days before, because if I only edit it a day of, then I'm just stressed out and it doesn't go live. So there's not much structure to it at the moment. There was a lot of structure to it when I was working full time. When I was working full time, there was not, like my time wasn't, I guess, like as flexible. So I needed to have, this is the time when I do this, this is the time when I do this, and whatnot.
Fair. Nice. And in terms of the business, we talked a bit yesterday, we talked about nurturing your audience and converting them into leads and creating the offer. What came first for you, the sort of the growth of the channel or the business, or have they both sort of arrived and grown in conjunction with one another?
So I got my first client when I had 80 subscribers. Yeah, like the business and the channel went hand in hand. They've been growing together at the same time in the very beginning. So yeah, I got my first client when I had 80 subscribers.
Nice.
There's nobody watching my channel yet. And I just got an email and somebody said I want help on this, and I said okay. And so I worked with them on an application, and then I got more. And in terms of lead gen, the thing that really like bumped it up was that I started hosting like free workshops. Because there were a lot of people emailing me, but I wanted them to have the information and then decided they wanted to like pay work with me. And so I would do like a monthly free workshop on graduate admissions, and that would convert at about 30%. So, and that increased. Like the first event, I think 6 people showed up. and then 20, and then 30, and then 40, and then it just increased like every single month until it was 200 people in a room. And then you can do the math, 30% conversions. That's a lot of clients.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say doing some free workshops and things like that from the very beginning to get people over to an email list is a really great way to do that conversion.
Nice, nice. And back to the content side of things. A couple of questions about shorts in the chat. How do you think about shorts, and do you think about them in conjunction with other platforms as well?
Okay, so yes, I do. So all the stuff that you see on Shorts on YouTube has been posted to Instagram and TikTok. Instagram is my most engaged short form platform, but I have about the equal following on Instagram and TikTok. And what I'll tend to do is, I don't know, I feel like the ideas are a little bit different. Like sometimes it's the vlog, but it's a very different format, and I don't use the same footage. It sounds kind of silly. Like when I'm doing a vlog, like a mini vlog on Instagram, TikTok, and Shorts, it's usually a day that I'm vlogging in general. So I will walk around and get clip vertical, clip horizontal. Like I'll just do that throughout the day, and I'll just redo the same thing over and over again. Or if I'm filming on camera, then I'll put both of these on a tripod right next to each other. It's the same clip, but to me, like they're very different audiences. The people that are going to watch the short form content on TikTok are not the people that are going to watch my YouTube video, and they're a little bit varied in a way, because if you're somebody that's paying attention to my short form content, then you actually get like a bit of a sneak peek into what the vlog next week is going to be, because I can get short form content out quicker. Yeah, so my short form content strategy is a little bit different, but I just think that they're slightly different audiences. And I've been doing short form content from the beginning of when TikTok like really took off and like painfully.
When you say the slightly different audiences, is that how you think about the content or the potential products?
So in terms of conversion, I don't try to convert off of short form. The only thing I do that's a little bit different for conversion on short form is I really use Instagram stories. Like Instagram stories is where I get sales. It's where I've sold courses from Instagram stories workshops. Most of the email lists were accepted, and for my personal email list comes from stories. Yeah, so I would say that I don't really focus on conversion so much as I think about brand recognition. So another thing that is really important to me as a content creator is that brands and other types of opportunities, like speaking opportunities, connections for research, that people see my content, whether that's short form or long form, and they immediately recognize me and what I'm about. So, for example, last week I did a paid trip to the Lake District in England, where I was working with a PR agency that was promoting a historical fiction novel. And because I'm a historian, because I make lifestyle content, they were like, this is great. Did I make content specifically about historical fiction novels that got me that brand deal? No, it's having a really strong brand across all the platforms where people can say this would work for us.
Interesting. It's interesting that you just seem the same audience, but it's the highest converting channel, Instagram.
Yeah, so Instagram stories is where it's at, because the people that are watching my stories, like they care about what I'm doing day to day. And when I started my admissions business, which was Accepted Consulting back in 2020, I remember I have a very, very distinct memory of like my channel probably had 2,000 subscribers at this point, and I put a message on Instagram. Mind you, it didn't do links yet. So this is just me putting on Instagram and saying, hey guys, I have 10 slots per client. And I remember in 24 hours, 30 spots got taken up. I didn't have a high following rate on Instagram. I think I had like, I don't know, 3,000 followers on Instagram. Like there was nobody really over on Instagram, but they were coming over from YouTube, and because they were so attuned to the stories, it immediately converted from there. So Instagram, I see it strategically. I see Instagram as the place where you have more immediate communication with your community, and if you can make your audience aware that that's how you're using Instagram, that's another way to get people from like YouTube over to Instagram. So yes, and that was an announcement made on stories.
Does the content differ too much aside from it being a cut down version almost? You mentioned like the shots are the same, but the actual voiceover and things like that, is that the same? Or?
No, it's a little bit different. I would say that maybe I'm like a little bit quicker on Instagram, because like that's just the format. It's a much quicker platform. I do like mini vlogs. I'll also do things like, hey, like go through this writing sprint with me, and so it'll be me saying, hey, I called my advisor. I really need to like get down to business. We're gonna like sit down here and get work done today. And I just get like a lot of fast like B-roll clips to like get the energy of something like being kind of urgent, and that's the strategy. I guess like I play a little bit with Instagram and TikTok a little bit more, just because I don't care about the numbers, because I'm not worried about them like necessarily converting to a brand deal or to a specific client. I'm just trying to figure out what my community is reacting to, engaging with. And like I said, I look at engagement metrics. And so what I'm doing is looking at the comments and saying like, okay, are people responding to this content in the comments? And that's kind of how I tell what I'm going to do with Instagram or TikTok. So I do a little bit more experimentation on those things, whereas with YouTube, because it takes so much time to actually create the content, I do a little less experimentation.
Nice. Okay, cool. I'm conscious of time, and I have a hard stop, so I will wrap things up. Do you just want to let people know where they can not only just follow you obviously with the YouTube stuff, but potentially also your courses and communities that you've discussed?
Yeah, so it is an invite-only community specifically for blogging, but there is an application you can fill out on the website. It's on, I'll put it in the chat. It's Kaylin, why is this going? KaylinApple.com/TAV. And you can go ahead and fill out the application there. If you would like to work with me in any capacity, I also do private coaching. So you can send me an email. I don't have anything on my website necessarily to point people towards coaching. It's only, I do it word of mouth. Because as we said, time is of the essence, and it's a bit restricted. But yeah, you can follow me on any of the platforms at Kaylin Grace Apple, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and all of that. So yeah, would be happy to chat with any of you. You're welcome to send me emails, just Kaylin@KaylinApple.com, and we can chat, and I'm happy to offer any support and advice. I love vlogging, as is very evident. So anybody wants to talk about the art of vlogging, I'm here to have a conversation.
Nice, perfect. Well, thank you very much for coming and doing that presentation. Very much a lot of love in the chat, which is great. We'll wrap things up there for today, everyone. This recording will be up as before later on. Now Circle's back up, and we've got a final session tomorrow with Nisha. She's coming to talk about her strategy that's got her to over 1.5 million subscribers, and that will be the end of Creator Week. All the other recordings are already up in the event section, or no, the recording section, should I say, of PCYA. If you have any questions about any of that, or if I've missed any links, please do drop them in the comments there. But otherwise, yeah, we'll wrap things up there. And thank you again, Kaylin, for joining.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Okay. The and about Instagram, that didn't really wasn't valuable at all to me. But she said, don't just do talking, too much talking. She said, use B-roll. Don't do too much talking. Interesting. That was one of the two advices. I forgot what the second advice was. Don't do too much talking. And have an establishing shot, which is a wide shot. Those were the two advices. Yeah, I don't want to film B-roll, so... Yeah, I don't want to film B-roll. I guess I'm not a vlogger. I'm a talking head video journal guy. Yeah. There's a custom cup, by the way. It's from Corning in New York State. I put stickers on it, and then they sanded it, and made it into a sanded cup. Pretty cool. Memory from when I was like less than 15 years old. Yeah, I use that cup every day for water. Establishing shot, so a wide shot, wide angle shot, and B-roll. Yeah, fuck that. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do that. Okay, well. So much for the art of vlogging. But she is right about the connection, the quality of the connection mattering more than just a number on your screen, just a big number. Yeah, I'm building quality connections, that's for sure. Instead of... It's not a big number, but each number is a quality connection with another person, so yeah, that's really cool. I think that's about the only things I took away. I'm not going to do B-roll. I'm not going to do an establishing shot, wide angle shot. I just don't like filming those and then adding it on as B-roll. You're building IRL connections too. Yes, Devin, meeting you in person, in real life connections. Yeah. Yeah, and then I'm met Lewis, gonna stay with Lewis through, that's just through a YouTube comment, in Vancouver when I go over in August in a couple months. Building real life connections. Yeah, really cool, really cool. So that's the end of this live stream, because the title is now outdated. bye. Hey Lauren, it's good to see you again. It's too bad Melissa left because of high anxiety because of the 2x speed, because she missed the relaxing part of this live stream. I feel like I feel like playing a bit of games, but I have to edit my resume. I've been editing it back and forth with a friend, and she asked for a few more changes, so I gotta make those changes. It'll probably take about 30 minutes or less. Once I make those changes, I'll send it to her, and then I can play. Let's see if I reached out to friends. Oh. I reached out to a couple friends to meet up. Take care as well. May the days be gentle on your soul. I love that. May the days be gentle on your soul as well, Michael. Oops, sorry, I said his name. It's okay. Devin said to OPM, you must be very happy right now. And I have a PS5. The only 2-player game I have is Tekken 8. Ooh, is PY trying to get a job? Well, yeah, my friend asked if I'm looking for a job, and I said, if she said I can refer you to my company. She has no control over the hiring process, but she can refer me. So she said, send me your resume. So I've been going back and forth with her with my resume, and I beefed it up because at the beginning she said it sounds like a high schooler's resume. So I beefed it up. She says, okay, much better, but there are still a few things that I need to beef it up a little more, write a summary, some kind of paragraph about myself. And then I'll make 2 versions, one for a customer service technical version and one for a non-technical version. So I'll make those 2 versions of the resume, then send it to her. And then I don't know, maybe nothing will come of it, maybe something. Maybe I'll get an interview, and then maybe I'll get rejected, or maybe I'll get accepted. We'll see. Surely, but not the hardest. Hardest part is editing. Yeah, editing. Especially with trying to add a lot of stuff. It gets hard. Okay. Did my friend upload anything? Grand Kielbasa. Nope. Over 2 months ago now. Looking forward to the next Grand Kielbasa video. Oh, I should do more piano improvisation, yeah. And piano improvisation and oh, Mochi's here. Mochi? You here? You wanna come in? Come in. Come in. I saw that Chase was recording from his status on Discord. I haven't spoken to him in a while. I want to know how he's doing. Yeah. Was he recording on Discord? Wonder if he's working on his next video right now. I haven't spoken to him in a while too. I wonder how he's doing. Mochi's here. She's getting scratchy scratchy. Mochi got bitten by a raccoon and it's black here. You see this black spot on her fur? It's the bite area. She's old. She's 10 years old, which is like 70 years in human years. Human age. So she's an old granny. But she's still okay. She's healthy for now. So, you wanna go down? Okay. Scratchy scratchy? Yeah. She wants scratchy scratchy. Okay, so yeah, I haven't reached out to Chase. I wonder if he's down to do another call. Probably doesn't want to do a public call, so could do a private call with him. Not a live stream call or a podcast call, just a private call. Okay, so don't want to, but I'll work on my resume, and after I'm finished working on my resume, I will either live stream the piano, or yeah, I should do the piano. Or I never understood why we multiple dog years by 7. Oh yeah. Yeah, dogs grow old fast compared to humans. It's rough too. It's a rough number. It's not even accurate. It's just depending on the size of the dog and the breed of the dog, it depends. It's not always 7 years. So bigger dogs don't live as long, smaller dogs live a bit longer. So yeah, I'll do my resume and then I'll do piano or gaming. We shall see. Whatever I feel like. Let's do the resume quickly so that yeah, I'll finish it within 30 minutes and then I'll be back with another live stream. Okay. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Lauren, Devin, and anyone else who's still there. There was a guy who had Muhammad. Oh, I might have to take her out. Mochi Sampo. Take her out for a walk. Okay, Mochi. I'll take you out. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. I'll come back with another live stream or video. Bye-bye. Say bye-bye, Mochi. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.